Morning wake up, Bjorn and Liana. No Josh today, but Strahan in to replace them from Commoners Communion. Morning, Strahan.
Kia ora.
Kia ora, good morning. You smell a lot better than Josh. I feel like you might have a little bit more time to freshen up in the morning, wake up,
Do you have
your thing.
Do you have a signature cologne that you wear, Strahan?
Oh, I do.
You one of those guys? What do you wear?
Well, I could tell you, man, but
Then your secret's
You don't
out.
want to give it out.
then everyone would smell like me.
Could
and
you-
then
Right.
what,
you
what
don't-
would the world be?
Exactly. Find your own smell.
Hey, we're doing home group, just so we catch up on all things faith and life and all sorts. What's on your mind this week, Strahan? What's going on?
Well, yeah, so I was watching I don't know if you guys have noticed, but Apple have brought out Apple TV. It's
Yes.
so that's a thing. But I was watching a show this week. It's called The Morning Show. Really fascinating. It's a drama based on the Me Too movement and sort of the whole dynamic shift around sort of masculinity and femininity, in the workplace.
And it's based on like a morning breakfast type show.
It's based on a morning breakfast show. It's very similar to this. No, it's not at all.
TV, not radio. Yeah.
Anyways, halfway through an interview, they make this kind of statement. They're interviewing somebody about their experience of sexual harassment in the workplace. And the interviewee says, "Thank you for sharing your truth." And it kind of like stuck out to me a lot. A, because I think I've heard that a lot recently, like your truth, but also just thinking about like living in a world where, truth is about, oh, you got your truth, I got my truth. And it kind of made me think a lot about how do we know what's truth, like, especially as Christians. And I was sort of wondering if anybody had this experience of having a conversation with someone's, oh, that's so great, that's your truth. Like you believe that and I believe this. And kind of as like followers of Jesus, what it looks like for us to have a truth, or do we have a truth?
Well,
Very interesting.
look, had this very situation just last night when I was playing touch rugby.
Oh.
Guy spotted this gap, tried to go through. I leant as far out as I could, managed to just clip his arm with my hand. Otherwise, it was a breakaway, runaway try. And I was like, touch, yelled it. And he turned around being like, no, and kept running. And the ref was like, we've called the touch, you've got to come back. Because that's how it works. And he was just looking at me like, you are a total liar. Like, you did not touch me. And he was like, you don't get me. And I was like, I literally touched you. I felt it on my fingers. So anyway, and then when I got off on the sideline, someone was like, I was like, can you believe that guy? He was calling me a liar. I touched him. And he was like, yeah, but I think both of you were true at the same time, I was like, well, that's impossible.
Who said that?
Or just someone on the team. But I was like, well, that doesn't work because...
So he believed that he didn't get touched and you believe that you did touch it.
Yeah, and he was like,
you both had your own truth.
Yeah, exactly. But I was like, well, we don't both have our own truth. Either I touched him or I didn't. And I believe I did. Obviously, it's just sport and it doesn't really mean anything. But it is kind of that, like, sort of a representation of our society, right? Where I think we're so kind of... I don't know if it's tolerant of every kind of view that you can think of, but it's like, well, whatever's true for you is true for you, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
And whatever's true for me is also true and right, and we can all just have our own relative truth.
Yeah, which kind of like, ironically, at the end of the day, it kind of ruins truth, And I think like it's fascinating that we talk about being in a post-truth era. We got information saturation on the internet. You got social media where it's basically like if you get enough likes or enough shares, the whole like political campaign about manipulation of social media to get people into. So I think there's a lot of questions around like what is truth and how do we know what truth is? And I don't know if you've ever had a conversation with someone talking about your experience with God or what you believe in your faith. And they're just kind of nodding and they're like really positive.
Yep.
But there's no, like in that conversation, there's no like transition from that to any meaning for them because in their mind, they're just thinking, it's really cool that you believe that and I believe this. And so my question is like, as followers of Jesus in our spiritual walk, like, is there a place that we can like, do we believe that there is a truth and what does it look like for us to find it?
It looks like a big, thick book called the Bible.
Yeah.
Well, it's very confronting, isn't it, to say that something is wrong? To be like, that's just not true. This is true. It's very, and like, I think people are very much afraid of doing that with anybody on almost any topic. So it's just like easier to be like, oh, that's cool. Whatever you believe is probably right. As well as what I believe, and we're all just
and there's a lot
families.
of that in kind of in morality too, right? It's like our friends might be engaged doing something that we know it's like not exactly what God's called them to, and we know that the scripture's pretty clear on it, church is pretty clear on it, even we've got a pretty clear idea on it, but there's still that sense of like, I don't want to confront this person because I'm going to look judgmental or I'm going to have like, them like, oh, you don't know everything, you don't know my situation. Like at what point do you move into that conversation and say, actually, this is the line, like this is the truth, is that we don't do this, or this is unhealthy, or this is sin, or whatever. And I think there's a lot of like grey area in the church around it too.
Yeah. I actually had a conversation this week with someone, and they are not a Christian, and they asked me if I was still on the Jesus bus, which was a really interesting question for me, because I've had very deep conversations with this person about God, and heard their ideas on their beliefs, not in God, which like intrigues me because I've always known God and always, had a belief in Jesus. But it was really, really interesting to be asked that, and I was like, well, nothing anyone can ever say is ever going to make me not believe in God. So yeah, I'm still on that bus, will be for all of eternity.
Well, it's a bit of a fad though, isn't it? I mean, it's kind of like the Furby. It came, it went, and then we moved on, I mean, it's had its time for, consistently for 2,000 years straight, but it's probably a fad.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Maybe not.
Yeah, probably.